Hey there and good morning. It's my birthday today. I'm 54 years of age, and like every birthday, it's just another day in so many ways. But it's also a special day. So a really special day where people reach out and wish you a happy birthday. So I'm really grateful that I've got a birthday, and I'm really grateful for all those people that are making the time to wish me a happy birthday. Hey, what I want to talk about is today, and today is like D-Day for me. Today is, we're give or take 6 weeks away from the end of the year, and I've got a big 2020 planned. I've got two marathons I want to run. There's two books I want to write. There's a consolidation of some of the work that I've been doing within my business, and there's some new projects. So 2020 is going to be a huge year. And so as we're coming into the last 6 weeks of 2019, my thoughts, as well as finishing strongly for 2019, has got me really thinking about what I need to do to conquer 2020. So I want to invite you along on that journey. I want to invite you along on the journey of finishing 2019 strongly, reflecting on the achievements out of 2019, but also looking at what I need to be changing and doing in 2020. And along the way, along my journey, hopefully there'll be some gold for you, and hopefully we'll be able to support each other, make each other accountable, and really drive forward. So this is not like an airy-fairy goal-setting process. This is a realistic process based around some of the stuff that I'll be doing to make sure that I achieve the best that I can in 2020. And it all starts today. Day one of Conquer 2020 is what today is all about. So regardless of what you've achieved during the course of 2019, or even if you're sitting in the same spot that you were at the end of 2018, this is the time of year to be sitting back and reflecting. And it's a really good chance to put some structure in place so that when 2020 rolls around, and let's face it, we're 6 weeks away, when 2020 rolls around, you're going to be in a good place, a good planning place, a good process-driven place to start kicking some serious goals. Now, next week, you'll see a link in the description. There's a webinar that I'm doing, and we're starting from some of the basics there. What is motivation? I'll be sharing a worksheet that I use to reset. And it's a worksheet that I've used consistently in my life when I need to reset, when I really need to ask myself, what is my current level of motivation? Because like everyone, we all go through our ebbs and flows. And it's important to be able to go through, once again, a process, a system where we're asking ourselves those questions, pardon me, in relation to our own level of motivation. Now, we do know the motivation is a fleeting thing. We get motivated, we go see Tony Robbins, we get goosebumps, we walk out there and go, yay. And then the next day we get caught up back in the real world, and those goosebumps disappear, and we get back into the rut. We get back into the rut. And for many people, sometimes when we put our heads up out of that rut, 20 years have gone. So we know the motivation starts the process, but it's actually self-discipline that continues to manage the process for us. We need to be disciplined. We need to instill the disciplines that you do into your mind and into your habits and into your behaviors that will allow you to be a success. So click the link for the webinar and register for next week. It's free, and I'll be walking through that reflection exercise around what is motivation, and hopefully you'll find a bit of a way forward from that. So I'll be doing a series of webinars, and I'll be doing some Facebook Lives from the Coach Curl page, but also I'd love you to join the Coach Curl Academy. So all you have to do is just type into Facebook the Coach Curl Academy. The group will show up. We are publicly available, and come and join, because coming into December, there'll be more video, there'll be more activity in and around the Coach Curl Academy group. than what there will be via the normal channels of the Coach Girl page. So it's really important, but to initially register for our webinar next week, it's really important to understand what our own motivation is and what that looks like for yourself, finishing off 2019 and looking to conquer 2020. So over the remainder of this year, I'll be sharing some quotes. I'll be sharing some of the questions, those reflective questions that I use for myself in our quest for a better 2020. So I hope that you can join me. I'm going to try and do this in between those hours of 7 and 8 most mornings, Brisbane time. So I know in Sydney and Melbourne and other places around the world, that's going to be a little bit different. But between 7 and 8 Brisbane time, predominantly when I'll be jumping online. Every now and again, I might mix that up, depending on my own schedule, of course, but that will be my aim, to be really consistent in that 7 to 8. So I'll be sharing quotes, I'll be sharing stories, I'll be sharing some reflective questions that hopefully will have some value for you, so that you can take the best of that and add some real value into your life. So today's quote comes from Martin Luther King. And the quote is a really simple one. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to do it. Now, that quote's attributed to Martin Luther King. And in all honesty, it's a little bit like my marathon philosophy. You know, when you're running marathons, so many people tell you, trust your training, keep moving, one step in front of the other, etc., etc. So don't lose sight of that. One step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And it's interesting how that quote from Martin Luther King sort of resonates around in so many people. In 2018, when just before we ran the New York Marathon, I had the pleasure of listening to Rob DiCostello. He was addressing our Traveling Fit group in relation to what we can expect the next day. And one of the big messages that he was sending is enjoy the day, enjoy the day. It's not every day that New York shuts down to allow you to run through the 5 boroughs and enjoy the sightseeing, enjoy the crowds, which is certainly what we did. But the other key thing that he was talking about, now Rob is the founder of the Indigenous Marathon Foundation, which is an amazing foundation. He's creating a legacy of deadly runners, and they provide amazing and sensational inspiration back to their communities, back to their families, back to their people. And Rob DiCostello was there as the founder of the IMF, and the Traveling Fit sponsor are one of the key principal sponsors behind the Indigenous Marathon Foundation. And Rob was sharing that as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, nothing will stop you tomorrow. So you may not necessarily get the time that you're hoping for or praying for or wishing for, but if you continue to put one step in front of the other, nothing will stop you. And to echo Rob's words, there was a young fellow called Colin Sampton, and he was a IMF and Indigenous Marathon Foundation graduate from 2013. So he ran the marathon successfully in New York in 2013. But he shared a story where he was struck down by injury, and I think it was around the 22-mile mark. So you're close, but not there yet. You know what I mean? So you're sitting at the 22-mile mark. You've still got 4 miles to go. Those 4 miles coming through like Central Park are really quite challenging because of the hills. And he was struck down with an injury, and he started to feel a little bit sorry for himself. And he was honestly looking to give up, right? So he was taking some time. He was trying to compose himself, but he sort of thought that the hammy that had gone on him was probably a little bit too far gone, and that, you know, it looked like he was going to give up. He was disheartened, incredibly disheartened, disillusioned. But he reflected back on why he was there. And he reflected back on what people like Rob DiCostello were telling him: keep going, one foot in front of the other. So he got up, he dusted himself off, and he started walking towards the finish line. Now, Colin spoke that he felt shame, right? And once again, when you're in a cultural situation, feeling shame about walking while people are running was very strong in his mindset. But he kept thinking about why he was there. He kept thinking about family, community, his people, and the shame started to disappear, because he realized that he was putting one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and he kept going, and he kept going, and he kept going, and he finished. He finished the New York Marathon. He graduated from the Indigenous Marathon Foundation. He completed the New York Marathon. And along the way, inspired many of his community, many of his family, many of his friends. And so that was 2013. And so since then, the foundation just continues to go from strength to strength. And what Colin did that day cemented a lot of the story, a lot of the pride that we see in the Indigenous runners, the Deadly Runners. And in no short form has helped create the legacy behind the IMF. So he also recognized that by even walking, and he got into a run, he started running again once he felt more comfortable. It wasn't his normal pace, but he was able to, I guess, shuffle his way through to the finish line. But what he realized is that by continuing to put one foot in front of the other, he was better than those that didn't start. He was better than those that did not finish. And he set out to achieve a goal, and he just kept going forward. So today, as we set off on that quest to conquer 2020, remember those words from Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. And please believe, even if you are crawling, you're still moving forward. And you should never be ashamed of your journey in a forward motion. And crawling will always be better than those sitting still. I'll see you tomorrow.